Hi friends, I'm Chris Johnson and this is my Institute Guitarist Music Academy's YouTube channel. Today I would like to talk about the basic music theory. So one thing I always tell my students when I teach them the music theory for the first time is you have to take it as if you are learning a new language. So every language has some written signs, right? And in the music also there are some written signs and we call it as notes. So notes represents two things, and the first one is pitch and the next one is duration. So what do you mean by pitch? Pitch is actually a certain frequency, but for easiness and for to understand it better, you take a keyboard and there are so many keys, and each key of this keyboard is a different pitch, is a distinct pitch. When we say note indicates pitch, the other meaning is it indicates which key you have to press on the keyboard. Okay, the next one is duration, and duration means how long you have to hold a key or a note. So if the note is E, you have to hold that note for 4 counts. You have to do it like 1, 2, 3, 4. That is known as duration. Okay, so note represents two things. First one is pitch, that means which key on the keyboard or which fret on the guitar, or where is that note, what note it is. And the other one is duration, how long you have to hold that note or key. So moving on to the next one, you have to know the pitch names, and the pitch are named after the first 7 English alphabets. There is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and after G we will be having again A. Okay, so before A it is G and after G it is A. Okay, so it goes like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, F, G, likewise. Now you have to learn types of notes. So the first one in the types of note we are referring here is whole note. Whole note looks like a circle or an oval, and the other name for whole note is semibreve, and its value is 1. Okay, so if you split whole note into halves, you get half notes. Whole note was just a circle. Half note is a circle along with a line. That is, we call the circle part as head and the line part as stem. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether the stem is upward or downward. In both cases, it is half note itself. So other name for half note is minim. And the next one is quarter note. So what is the difference between half note and quarter note? Quarter note is half of half note, and the difference when we look at it is the head part of the quarter note will be shaded or colored. So the quarter note's value is quarter itself, and the other name for quarter note is crotchet. When you learn any instruments, be it keyboard, guitar, violin, whatever it is, you have to first take care of these 3 types of notes, that is whole note, half note and quarter note. Quarter note is half of half note is half of whole note. So the value of the whole note is 1, value of the half note is half, value of the quarter note is quarter. Whole note is just a circle or an oval, half note is a circle along with a stem, and quarter note, the circle part or the head part will be shaded. The next type of note is 8th note. So 8th note is again half of quarter note, and its value is 1/8. The other name for 8th note is quaver. So difference between quarter note and 8th note is 8th note will be having a flag or tail like thing. We have so many other notes as well, types of notes as well. The first one is double whole note, or another name for that is breve, and 16th note, 32nd note, 64th note. Likewise we have notes, but at first you have to, as I told before, you have to take care of the whole note, half note, quarter note, then the 8th note comes, then the 16th note comes, and so on. Okay, so once you learn the types of note, you have to understand the parts of the notes. So there are 3 parts. The circle like thing is, as I told you before, it is head, and the line is stem, and the tail or fly like thing is flag or tail itself. Moving on to the next one, and we have 5 parallel lines, and these 5 parallel lines are collectively known as staff or stave. Okay, so there are 5 lines, and between there are 4 spaces. So we have lines and spaces, and on that we will be placing the types of note, that is a whole note, half note, quarter note, 8th note, likewise. So one thing you always have to keep in your mind while you learn staff is the first line is always the bottom one. Okay, so it goes in order like this. First line is the bottom one. Above the first line we have first space, Above the first space we have second line. Above the second line we have second space. Above the second space third line. Then third space, fourth line, fourth space, and fifth line. So that is what is staff. It is 5 parallel lines, and we have 5 lines, and in between 4 spaces. On the spaces and lines we will be placing notes. That is whole note, half note, quarter note, and the first line is always the bottom one. So when you cut the staff or stave with a vertical line, it's called as bar line. So what bar line do is, bar line divides the staff into measures or bars. So that is, between 2 bar lines we have a measure or bar. So the next and mostly important thing is clefs. There are several clefs in music, but here we will be learning treble clef or G clef and bass clef or F clef. So this is G clef or treble clef, and this one is bass clef or F clef. What the clef does is it defines the pitch. I told you that the notes will be placed on the lines and spaces, so we have to know which note is on which line or which space, right? So that's the job of the clef. The clef defines the pitch of these lines and spaces. So when you first approach the basic music theory, first thing you have to do is you have to make sure you know these symbols I explained till now. That is what is notes and the names of the notes, types of notes, parts of the notes, staff, bar line, bar or measure, and the clefs. You have to identify those things, and when we further go on, you must know what we mean by clef or bar or whole note or half note, whatever it is. So first thing you have to do is you have to learn those names. You must recognize those symbols and those lines and all. So the next one you have to learn is notes on the lines, G clef or treble clef. So this one is really important, and you have to by heart this as well. So on the first line, if it is G clef, it is always E, and the second line it is G, third line B, fourth line D, and fifth line F. It's always like that. Okay, on the first line treble clef it will be always E, second line it will be always G, third line it will be always B, then D, and on the fifth line we will be having F. So for easiness and for by hearting it and remembering it easily, we have made a sentence: every good boy does fine. Okay, so every E, good G, boy B, does D, and fine F. So once you learn the notes on the lines, then you have to move the notes on the spaces of the same clef, that is G clef or treble clef. So on the first space, you already know the space is between the first line and second line, right? So the first line is E, we already discussed, and second line is G. So which one will be on the first space? Which one is missing between E and G? Yeah, that is F. So on the first space we have F, and on the second space we will be having, which one is after G and before B, that is A. And on the third space it is C, and on the fourth space it will be E. So we get a word F-A-C-E, that is face. So if it is on a space and if it is G clef, you have to remember the word face and just check which space it is, whether it is the second or third. If it is the second, F-A, that is A, and if it is on the third letter of the word's face, that is C. Okay, I hope you got it. So if you are learning guitar, violin or the solo instruments, you just need to learn the treble clef only. And if you are learning bass guitar, keyboard, piano, you have to learn the bass clef as well. So as I told you before, the clef defines the pitch, and bass clef is definitely different from the treble clef. Okay, so on the treble clef it was first line it was E, right? So on the bass clef it is G. Okay, I hope you got the difference. So if one asks just on the first line which note you have, you can't just say that. You have to ask whether which clef it is. Only if there is a clef you can define the pitch of the lines and spaces. Keep that in mind. And moving on to the bass clef or F clef, on the first line we have G, on the second line we have B, on the third line we have D, on the fourth line we have F, and on the fifth line we have A. You have to remember this, you have to by heart this, and don't get confused with the G clef. G clef and F clef or bass clef and treble clef are both different, and you have to keep that in mind. Okay, so we have sentence here again: good boy does fine always. And on the spaces we have A, C, E and G. All cows eat grass. You may still find it difficult even if I have a sentence to remember it easily. So for those who find it difficult, I have an alternative. Take your right hand, and the right hand represents, for now it is G clef or treble clef. So we are moving from left to right. So we have these knuckles and these gaps between. So the knuckles will be lines and the gaps will be spaces. Okay, 5 lines and 4 spaces. So you can easily remember the first line on the treble clef is E, right? So E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. So if someone asks third line, just go like this. So the first line starts from here, E, F, G, A, B. That's the third line. So the third line is B. Okay, just like that. On the left hand, you make it as a bass clef. So start from G from the left. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. So if someone asks third space, so this is the third space, G, A, B, C, D, E. I hope that even better, that's even easier, right? So up to you, if you can learn it just like that, it's okay. And if you need this, use that as well. Anyway, if you know this better, you can play better. Just like if you know the alphabet, English alphabets, you can read English. If you can recognize this faster, you can learn the lessons faster. You can learn the music lessons faster. So the next thing, moving on to the next thing, now you know on the treble clef or bass clef, when this line is that note or this space is that note, you need to know where it is on the instrument you are playing. So today I'm just talking about the keyboard, and on the first line we have E, treble clef. First line we have E, right? That E is the third E on the keyboard. On a 5-octave keyboard, that E is on the third E. Okay, so if the first line is third E, the first space will be F3, and the second line G3, second space A3, third line B3, and after B3 it becomes C4. Okay, so after B the number changes, octave number changes. Okay, octave means 8 notes. So a keyboard starts from C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. So the 8th note, it will become the other next octave. Okay, so that's what we are talking about. So first line is E, so that is E3. So the first space it will be F3. Second line G3 or third G. Second space third A. Third line third B, and third space it will be C4. Fourth line it will be D4. Fourth space it will be E4, and fifth line it is F4. So what if I am placing a note above this fifth line? So it will be considered as a note on space itself and above the fifth line. So above after F, so it will be G and G4. Okay, but if I have I need to play a note higher than G4, the next note higher than G4, that will be A4. So you have to put a small line that is above the fifth line. It will be considered as a space, I told you, and above above that space we need a line, right? So we won't be drawing a complete line, we will be just drawing a small line, and that line is called as ledger line. And if you are having a ledger line above the fifth line, and if you are placing a note on that, it will be A4. Just like that, if you are writing a note below the first line of the treble clef, it will be below or before E, that is D3 it will be. So on a ledger line below that, it will become C3. So remember this note, this is really important. C3 is below the first line of treble clef, and it's on a small ledger line, that is C3. Just below the first line it will be D3. On the first line we have E3, and so on. So the first 6 notes we will be learning on treble clef, if we are learning keyboard, will be C3, D3, E3, F3, G3 and F3. Remember that notes. Just like this, on the bass clef we are moving on to the bass clef, F clef. I hope you are clear with the G clef or treble clef. So the bass clef, on the first line we have G, right? That G is the first G on the keyboard. Okay, so first line we have G1, first space A1, second line B1, and on the third space after B the octave number changes, so it is C2, and on the third line D2, third space E2, fourth line F2, fourth space G2, fifth line A2, and above A it will be B2, and above that B2 on a small line or a ledger line it will be again C3. I hope you got the notes. So on the basic clef you will be learning first F2, G2, A2, B2 and C3. So moving on to the last one and the most important and complicated one, time signature. Okay, so time signature is two numbers written one below the other, and don't confuse it with fraction. It's absolutely not a fraction, and you don't have to say 4 by 4, 3 by 4. It's 4 4, 3 4, 2 4, 6 8, 7 8, likewise. Okay, an upper number and a lower number. So what upper number shows us is number of beats or counts in a measure. You already know what is a measure, right? So measure is the space between two bar lines. Between two bar lines we have a measure. So if the upper number is 4, that means you have 4 counts or beats in every measure. So the next question arises, what you have to do if the upper number is 4. You have to count like this: 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. From the beginning of the lesson to the end of the lesson you have to count steadily and constantly. We are dealing with time here, so you know time won't stop, and you have to count steadily, and you have to give each count the same time. You are not supposed to count 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 as you like. It has a time, and the time should be equal for every count. So what if it is 3? 1 2 3 1 2 3, likewise. If it is 2, 1 2 1 2, likewise. And I suggest you count slowly as you are a beginner, and even if you are a pro, when you start a new lesson you better start it slowly. You will get more understanding, otherwise there is a lot of chances to make more mistakes. So I hope you are clear with the upper number. The next one you have to be careful is the lower number, and this is a bit complicated as I told you. So lower number in 4 4 or 3 4, you mostly have heard this time signature 4 4 3 4 2 4. Likewise time signature, the lower number is 4. So this 4 indicates a type of note. Okay, so the lower number indicates a type of note, that is either a whole note or a half note or quarter note or eighth note, likewise. So whichever note that is, that note receives one count. So the lower number indicates a type of note which receives one beat or one count. So here it is 4. You have to remember, I hope you remember the values of the notes. So 4 is directly linked to 1 by 4, that is quarter note. So if the lower number is 4, the note that the time signature or the lower number of the time signature indicates is quarter note, and quarter note will be receiving one beat. Repeating again, if the lower number of a time signature is 4, it indicates quarter note, and the quarter note will be receiving one beat. If the quarter note receives one beat or one count, half note is just the double of a quarter note, so half note will be getting 2 counts, and whole note is double of the half note, so whole note will be getting double of 2, that is 4 counts. And what about the 8th note? 8th note is half of quarter note, so half of 1, that is 8th note will be receiving half beat. Anyway, as I told you before, you have to take care of the whole note, half note and quarter note first, then later we will be moving on to the 8th note. So don't want to talk about the time signature having an 8 or 2 or what other numbers as lower numbers. So mainly as a beginner you will be only dealing with the lower number 4. So if the lower number is 4, quarter note will be having 1 count, half note will be having 2 count, and whole note will be having 4 counts. If you are learning violin or guitar, you may not see 4 4. Instead you will be seeing a C in place of time signature. 4 4 is called as a common time, and common time is represented by C. That's why you are seeing a C instead of 4 4 in the place of time signature. So absolutely no difference. Even if it is a 4 4 or C, both are the same. And time signature will be placed just after the clef. at the beginning of the lesson. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you one and all for listening and joining for this small section. If you like to join my classes, I'm taking online music classes for keyboard, guitar and piano. Contact me in this number. Thank you. Have a nice day.